Hey, what's going on everyone? This is yours truly back with another video, and today we're gonna be doing the tier list for version 0.18. Now this is gonna be sort of a spicier tier list than normally because the whole meta just got flipped on its head. There's a lot of changes, a brand new item system, item reworks, you name it. So it actually is pretty difficult to like make it very good tier list just after 1 week. But I know there's a lot of people that are curious about knowing generally where people are at, which heroes are really strong, which heroes are pretty lackluster. So I did my best doing a little research, asking around, getting other opinions to kind of come up with a good solid queue tier list for like your plat, diamond, even maybe even masters level. So I'm not really making a tier list for like the competitive scene, although there are some like aspects of it I will kind of pull off from time to time. There's gonna be the tier list for those who are looking to be climbing and trying to really reach the high elos with the really good picks on this patch right here. And so yeah, let's just kind of jump straight into it. S is for S tier, A is for like strong picks, B is for average performers, C matchup dependent or situational, or S to C, it better be a one trick. And so of course I want to start with Aurora first before we actually go talk about her. I'm gonna kind of give a little bit more context on her placement, just like I did on Grim on that last video. And so it kind of feels like the general consensus, and from what I experienced in game, is that tanks are sort of lackluster. I think that's the one role that got gutted the most. Not only they didn't got as many toys to kind of play with the new item system, a lot of the tank items like Fire Blossom got semi-nerfed with how Fire Blossom worked, but more importantly, just how they kind of changed the HP armor based stats of all the heroes. It actually doesn't really benefit tanks a whole lot. If anything, tanks are actually feeling pretty bad, and I guess the first person we're going to be talking about is going to be Rampage. Like Rampage, it was always like an S or A pick, but I'm actually going to put in B, and I almost want to put him on C because that's just how bad it is. Like because the big thing about playing tanks is that your main goal is you want to soak up that damage, right? And that's what Rampage excels at. He kind of dives the backline, he is soaking up that damage while still outputting a lot of damage. But Rampage on this new patch doesn't feel like he can do that as well, because on this new patch, you go dive the back line and your damage not only doesn't feel nearly as good, but you're literally dying like really fast. And big part of the reason is because there's just this whole kind of meta shift to where like time to kill is much shorter than before. And when you have a time to kill that's much shorter, that means that tanks feel pretty bad because their main goal is they want to last long in team fights and soak up that damage, but they just can't do that because you have ADCs especially that are like really strong at the moment. Like we're gonna be talking about Sparrow, the elephant in the room, a little bit later, but she's like the prime example of like a meta where like ADCs are just shredding like tanks especially, and the only way you can really stop them is you go for more other picks that can do a lot of burst damage like assassins or mages or even some bruisers, right? But it definitely just feels like this meta just doesn't really feel great for tanks at all. I'll do another example. I think Sevvar is going to be in the C2 matchup of the situational pick, because he's always been like an S to C pick in my opinion, because if you're very good at stacking your stacks and then just playing the lane or jungle very well, you can become a beast of a tank for mid to late game. But Sevvar just feels horrendous to play. It feels really easy to bully him in off lane. He kind of always feels kind of meh in the jungle, even when you're like stacked with him really well. And so his main thing is like Rampage. He wants to tank for his team, but he does that not so great at all, because not only is it much easier to bully him, he falls behind easier, but like he doesn't have as much like high utility. Like Rampage instant Q is like really strong. Like that's why I'm kind of leaving Rampage in the B tier, because that instant Q stun is like really powerful for like team fighting purposes. But Sevvar doesn't really have that. He can kind of knock people up, but that's a bit like hard to execute, not as straightforward, I would say, right? And it just feels like Sevvar's whole thing is like he wants to tank for this team. He's just a behemoth that doesn't get taken down easily, but on this patch it really feels like you can take him down really easily, and his damage output is just really bad, right? So I'm gonna put him in C. That's just how bad it feels like to play Sevvar unfortunately right now in this current meta. But with all that kind of context given, now I can feel pretty comfortable with talking about Aurora now, and we're gonna be putting her way up in S. And I'm gonna put Kwang right here too. I'm gonna explain why. If you want to play tank this patch, play Aurora or Kwang. Don't play Steel, don't play Victor, don't play Rampage. Play Aurora or Kwang if you want to play a tank this patch. And I think that's like the biggest flaw in this patch, is that these are magical bruisers that are meant to be sort of like higher damage but lower durability compared to tanks. But if anything, they feel like they're like able to tank much better than these other tank picks and output way more damage than they can ever do. Like, it's actually kind of insane, right? Because Kwang was always been like a magical bruiser that's best built with full tank, and he still is on this new patch, but now he has more items to play with, especially like Magnify. That item's like super nuts too. That's another reason why these two on S2 right now is because Magnify is like, it's such a nuts item to the point that like it just really makes these two pop up really hard alone, right? But like, I guess one way I can explain why these two feel like the better tanks than the other two is because they both provide more utility than like a Rampage Sidewalk does. Because, I mean, look at Aurora. She press ultimate, she literally freezes the enemy team, she has the root, she has a slow, she has a wall, and she does a lot of damage for burst and sustained damage, right? Like, Aurora is just the prime example of she can just do it all. Because if you ever play against Aurora offlane, good luck trying to kill her by yourself, because she literally has an entire kit dedicated to keeping people off her. Passive double jump, her Q wall, her E root, her arm be slow, and then the ultimate that literally just freezes you in place, you can't do anything. So when you have a hero that not only her best items are just bringing full tank, that outputs a lot of high burst damage, a lot of high sustained damage, but has literally 5 abilities to get away from you, that is just absurd in my opinion. That's actually just extremely absurd in the offlane especially. Like, you have to play like a very particular offlane pick if you want to actually solo kill Aurora, because most matchups you just cannot solo kill Aurora. Maybe you can bully her out of lane easily, but like you can never get the solo kill as long as that Aurora is competent and using her abilities to actually shoot and just keeping distance away from you. Like, I just think Aurora is just like literally the pinnacle of what's the biggest problem in this meta besides ADCs, and that is magical bruisers are literally the best tanks to play right now. Like, don't play Rampage, don't play Sevlog off. Play Aurora or Kwang, because not only they win most matchups, they're really hard to lock down kill, the best items are literally tanks that have high sustain, they kind of just do it all. And I even say like these two are just better, really strong team fighters. So like, I just don't see the appeal of playing tanks right now, at least compared to these two. I think other tanks like Steel can be really good still, because Steel is just the same, but I really think that out of this patch, I think besides ADCs, it's just magical bruisers is running the show. So like in both jungle and offlane, I seriously think that you can never go wrong with Aurora Kwang. You probably should be picking them if you're serious about like climbing super fast. Like, these two heroes are just ridiculous at the moment. Alright, next pick we're going to talk about is Sparrow, the elephant in the room. So, at the time of this video that making, Aurora, Sparrow is actually disabled because there was apparently some game-breaking bug that warned her to be disabled on live. And a lot of people are memeing about it, saying like, oh, Sparrow's damage is actually so ridiculous, they have to like disable her. But it's actually not the case, because I confirmed with a meta employee that the reason why she's disabled is nothing have to do with balance at all. Like, her damage output is actually attended for now, but like the main reason why she's disabled is something that is completely unrelated to her balance at all. Like, we don't know why she was disabled. Like, maybe there's just some item interaction she's completely breaking the game with, maybe there's something else going on, but we don't know until they would say it. And I'm very curious exactly what Sparrow is abusing or item interaction or whatever it is that wants her to be disabled that badly, right? But like, her damage is not gonna go anywhere, is to say the least, and we're gonna put her way in A, which I hate how Sparrow is an A pick, or while like a top tier pick at the moment, because like I always put Sparrow and matchup dependent situational, because she is like ADC that like, you do not want to pick Sparrow against a Chimera, a Richter, people that want to sit on you or hook you in or do whatever ungodly things to you, right? You don't want to go against a team with all of that. But here's the thing, the reason why Sparrow I think it's an A pick right now is because she doesn't care about that. Like, her damage output is actually ridiculous. It's always been really strong, but I think it's literally just taken up to the next level. Like, I think her damage is just so like unfair to play against. And when I say unfair, I mean like this is a Sparrow. You can have a Sparrow that go 1 and 5 in lane and have only 3 items down a level, but she can literally still solo kill you by herself, or while she can output more damage than anyone else in the game. Like that's just how absurd Sparrow is. I'm not sure what the numbers are, why she's doing so much damage, but either way, like pressing ultimate, pressing E, and then having 2-3 items is enough to just delete an entire enemy team. Like I've won against so many games where Sparrow is literally just down in them, so it's like 1 and 8, 1 and 5, 1 and 4, whatever, like very bad KDA, but then she goes team fights, and then if you don't kill her immediately, she just wipes the floor with your entire team. Like, I think Sparrow is just overtuned like crazy right now on this new patch. Like, I think part of it too is because the on-hit items, the attack speed items are like really strong, and Sparrow has just always been like the best ADC to go with on-hit builds, right? So I think there's a lot of it is Sparrow's kids overtuned in terms of like numbers, attack, or whatever, like scaling, and also on-hit items are also just really strong at the moment. So you put two and two together, now you have an ADC that doesn't matter if she falls behind early, she literally just kills your entire team once you get 2 or 3 items, which is kind of crazy because it's only literally half your build and she's able to output that much damage. Like, I really hate her being AP because she really should be like always B or C, because with her innate kit, she's always gonna have that flaw of having no mobility. If people just kind of sit on her, there's nothing she can do, right? But her damage is so absurd to the point that she can literally brute force her way to team fights whenever she's ahead or not. I think that's just what makes it really unfair. And I mean, maybe you can argue she's S tier pick because of that reason, but I seriously think that it wasn't for the fact that she is gated by her low mobility issue. Like, she would easily be S tier, but I kind of want to keep her down in A, only because like sometimes you get the team that doesn't really care about you, and even when I play ADC games, people just like dive at me team, then 3 people jump at me, I die, right? Like, I have teammates where they just ignore me ADC when they shouldn't. So I think if you have a team that's like taking care of you, if you have like a very dedicated support, easily S tier, because you get to play the game. If you don't have a team that's supporting you or doing as much good with you, then the game's a little bit harder. But as soon as you get the base attack with 5 seconds, you just kill everyone. It's just that absurd right now with Sparrow. Alright, I guess the next pick we're going to talk about, I think we're going to bring highlight to, it's going to be Argus, which Argus always been like a really solid S or A tier pick, but I'm actually going to put him in B. And part of the reason is because the whole new item system really hooks the meta region economy, and what I mean by that, they just got in Caustica. It's no longer like the really strong meta region item it used to be. Now it's more like a anti-tank item, which it still have meta region, but it's nearly not as strong enough for Argus. And overall, I think like Argus is sort of suffering on this patch because like you have to full commit to like a mana region build, and even if you do that, your mana consumption still feels really high, whereas no other mages have the same problem as you, right? And then on top of that, it kind of feels like some burst mages like Bellica Argus have the damage taken down a notch, and Argus always have that kind of absurd damage when she does her whole combo and kill you. He can sort of still do that, but it's not nearly as effective. So you put all that combined, I don't think he's nearly as strong as he used to be. He's definitely still a good pick because his utility alone is really good. Like, I think his support is still really strong. I think if anything, his support may be his more primary to go role, just because I think mid lane has a lot more high competition, a lot more better builds or safer picks to do, and I think Argus is sort of just kind of struggling a little bit in mid lane, where support I think he dominates a lot more. So I think he's gonna be in the B tier right here. One last notable mention I'm going to make before we kind of jump in through the rest of the tier list. I'm going to talk about Narbash, because Narbash is easily S tier pick. I think he's easily one of the best supports at the moment, and it's because of like the new support items. There's this one item I think it's called Everbloom, where like literally every time you heal or shield someone, you grant them damage mitigation and increased tenacity. And it has no internal cooldown. And let that sit. And you're gonna see why that item is just extremely busted on Narbash, because Narbash mid to late game literally just has perma heal on. He heals himself and entire team. He's granting damage mitigation and increased tenacity to his entire team 24/7. That's absurd. Like that item alone is actually just so disgusting, and Narbash is the biggest abuser of that fact. Like I think a lot of these heal supports are gonna be much stronger just because of Everbloom existing, and Narbash is the biggest abuser of that because there's no internal cooldown on it, and he can constantly heal people up. So people, when you try to fight a Narbash and his team, they all have permanent damage mitigation and increased tenacity. Like that is just not fair at all. And it's kind of crazy too because this kind of shows why tanks are in the dumps too. You get 5% damage mitigation on Everbloom that you give to yourself and to your entire team. Taint and Bastion give you 6% damage mitigation to yourself if they are blighted from you. So 6% damage mitigation on only one person with a condition versus a 5% damage mitigation to the whole entire team on a support item that's easy to proc. Do the math. You're gonna see why tanks are on the dump, because like when you have those kind of items running around and they're just that much stronger than your tank items, they're just really just sad as a tank, I feel, this patch, right? So I just want to highlight that. I think that's hilarious that somehow that item just went on live how it is, and Narbash is just feasting on it. Like trying to play against Narbash in Brawl is actually kind of really annoying because he's permanently like giving his whole entire team damage mitigation, and that's just really unfair to play against. Like that item just seriously needs to like get rework or something need to change to it, because I think that iron passive having no internal cooldown is just like bonkers in my opinion. Okay, but that's enough ranting for me. You can obviously tell that this is a meta that I'm definitely not the biggest fan of, but I do want to say that this is literally like Predecessor 2.0 in the sense that the entire meta item company is completely different. Like I would have been so surprised if we got a very balanced and very good meta if on the first go on this new patch, right? I feel like this meta could have been way worse. Like I think this meta is sort of kind of meh. It's definitely not as like it's definitely way worse than what we ever gotten in a long time. But I mean that just goes to show how good we've been like doing on metas. Like I always feel like Predecessor the mobile has always been very consistent on having good balanced metas. And for the most part, and then when I look at games like League of Legends and I see some of the wacky stuff going on right there, I'm kind of glad that Predecessor is always have like stable metas for the most part. Right now it's not stable because the whole entire thing got shifted on his head. Like I actually think that I just wanted to just get props more than anything. I know a lot of people are gonna be complaining about meta. They're like, oh my god, they have no idea what they're doing. But I mean, if you look at the patch notes, if you see like the 100 pages of actual changes, like I just don't know who can make a balanced meta on the first go when you're literally changing 100 pages worth of stuff and it's in MOBA, right? So all in all, I just want to give props to meta. I think all this considered, like the meta could have been way worse, and it's annoying right now, but I think it's still in a decent spot, and it's easily gonna get patched out. Like I'm expecting the next month or two that we're gonna get a meta that's gonna be much more stable, I would say, because now all the data is flooding in. We're seeing these allies like Sparrow just popping up, just gonna get nerfed, tanks are gonna get buffed. Once all that stuff happens, meta's gonna feel much better, and then we're gonna go back to being happy right now. But with all that said, let's go through the rest of the tier list. Starting with Countess. Countess still like an average performer. Her burst damage definitely got taken down notch. Like again, like Countess, Argus, Bellica, the burst damage is not nearly as good as it used to be. But Countess still decently good because like if anything, you just build more for a sustaining lifesteal build, and that's a build that I want to showcase soon. I'm not sure when, but there's a build you can run on Countess where you're kind of running like the kind of overgrowth kind of style build where you're like trading your burst damage for more like wall survivability and just kind of going in, healing a lot and staying alive while doing a lot of damage. So I think mages, especially this patch, it's like if you're not able to one-shot people really well, then you want to play into other areas. And for Countess, she's not able to really one-shot people nearly as good anymore, but she can definitely play a lot heavier into the more sustained tankier playstyle, which I think fits her really well, and I think she's definitely a B pick easily. Next up is gonna be Crunch. I'm actually thinking he's gonna be A pick because I think, like I said, I think this meta is favoring more like high damage kind of heroes, so tanks are really kind of like crying in the corner, and then we have tanks not really being able to be picked as much. Crunch get to really excel a lot more because Crunch hates going against like these tank picks like Steel, Richter, you name it. But since those picks are like some of those picks are not nearly as strong as they used to be, or rather like they're a lot more weaker in terms of wall like defensive stats, Crunch can go much better into them and be able to actually duel them out or able to do stuff he wants to do. Because I think like Boozers this patch especially just got a lot of really good items, like Kwang got the magnified kind of items for Quench. It's like he got like Gay Agrees, he got like the Earth Shaker that's really good. He even got like the Fist of Wasu or Fist of Wiz or Fist of Jazz, whatever you want to call it. That's supposed to be a tank item, but works really good in Boozers like Quench a whole lot. So Crunch is just alone that feels really strong right now because he hit the items are like really good on him, and like he's kind of like that pick that's really good into ADCs, but you need to like really shut them down as fast as you can, or else they're gonna kill your entire team. And Crunch is always excelled in the 1v1s. It's very good at just getting top of ADCs, locking them down. So I just think that Crunch is actually in a really good spot right now in this current meta, where time to kill is shorter and your priority is like the mages and ADCs, which Crunch does really good into. Deku is gonna be a B pick. Like I really want to say she's like an A pick, but I think Deku is that kind of hero that it's a jack of all trades, master of none. She definitely has a lot of utility, a lot of stuns and lockdown, but I feel like her execution needs like I need a good play behind it. Like I'd rather take a Narbash over Deku any day because I know it's really hard to mess up a Narbash. You press one ability, you heal your entire team, you're doing your job. Deku's like you miss your entire kit, you're not doing your job, right? And so like I feel like there's just a skill requirement to Deku. I've seen a lot of bad Dekus. Like she's kind of like the hero, even in the competitive scene, that always have the lowest win rate because a lot of people are just bad with her. Or while it's very hard to take full advantage of her, but she still has an insane kit. I still think she's B's pick. I just don't want to put her in A just because I feel like other supports like Narbash is just way better than Deku, or while like they're way more consistent than her. And I think like a lot of new support items favor the more healers and enchanters a lot more than the stun utility supports. Jungle is going to go to the A pick right here. Definitely a lot of the ADCs are going to be A or S just because they're really just feasting really well with the short time to kill. Tanks are not being able to tank, they just kind of kill everyone. Jungle is no exception. He does really high damage. He does a lot of burst damage as well with his innate E ultimate kit. He also have really good self-peel for himself, so he's definitely just a really solid A pick. I think he's just not quite S tier pick. Maybe you can argue with that, but I haven't ADC, I'm going to put an ST pick and I'm going to explain why. But I definitely at least minimum A pick right now. Fame Bao is going to be a B pick. I know a lot of people think he's kind of like meh at the moment because his best items, Mind Race and Omen, got gutted. But he also has a new build that is just as good or even better that I try out. That with great success, I see other people running similar builds on him, which is like a Judgment, like Malady, Infernum. Like those items actually go super hard on Fame Mal, and like once you get to like 4 items, you can just do Fame Mal things, one shot people get away, all that kind of good stuff, right? So I think he's definitely still maybe B pick at the Fame minimum, but he's much like the Deku, he's kind of like a high skill ceiling hero. So a lot of people are not going to be able to use him nearly as good as like a Kwang or a Quench, right? So I think with that, all that said, definitely B pick at minimum. I think when people figure out his best build, which I think is not obvious at the moment, but once people figure out his best build, or while they know his best build that I'm kind of talking about, and I'm going to be showcasing the video later this week, I think he's going to be feeling much better, and maybe you can sort of slightly bump him up to A pick after that. Next up is going to be Gadget, and she's actually going to A pick. And I always put Gadget for the longest time in the B pick category, but she's actually going to A. And the main reason why is because like the majors have always been like the highly most competitive are always like the Bellica, August, Gideon, all of which they all offer like high burst damage, especially the Bellica August. But both Bellica August doesn't feel like they're doing nearly as high burst damage anymore, right? And it kind of feels like with the damage just kind of being nerfed a lot for a lot of mages, it kind of feels like Gadget gets to shine a lot more because if anything, her damage feels like it got a little bit higher. Like there's new items like Soulbind that works extremely well with her. New Sword Core works extremely good with her, especially since it has a shield that goes on top of Gadget's passive shield. Like Gadget's actually doing really good with the new mage items, and I think she's gonna be sort of semi-slip on for a little bit until more and more people play with her and realize that, oh my god, Gadget's kind of ridiculous, right? Because it doesn't feel like mages, for most of them at least, they're not really there to like burst you down anymore nearly as good. I know time to kill is short, but like trying to play Bellica right now, compared to like previous patches, doesn't feel like you can just you can do your full combo and kill someone. If anything, I see like an ADC that's low HP and Bellica throws an RB and does not kill at all still. Like, I really feel like Bellica is suffering a lot, and since we're talking about her so much, I'm gonna just put her in B. That's how bad it is, how she is right now. Because she used to be like easily S or A because she literally just one-shots people in the full combo, but she doesn't do that anymore. And like I said, I know time to kill is short, but I think they changed the scalings and damage on Bellica to the point that she can't do that anymore, even in this short time to kill kind of meta. And I talked to other mages too that use Bellica a lot, and they agree Bellica doesn't feel nearly as good as anymore. She's still insane in team fights because the Q knockup is really good, but she doesn't have that 100 damage burst, right? It actually kind of feels a little bit bad trying to go solo at ADC because they can just run you down as soon as you miss a combo, and then even if you do your entire combo, you still don't kill them, and then they just kill you really easily afterwards, right? So I think Bellica is just actually in a little bit rough spot. I'm still putting a B. I think she's still really good in mid lane just for knockup alone. She's not a bad pick per se, but I think she's actually getting outshined by other mages at the moment. Like Gadget, for example, I feel like she can do a lot more in team fights because she's able to do a lot more long range damage than Bellica. Like, I feel like Gadget can do so much more damage than the Bellica can do right now, and that's gonna do more than enough. That's gonna be hard for Bellica's utility to make up for that, if that makes sense. Getting S tier, no doubt, because he's still like elusive, he's still very hard to kill, but for some reason his damage still feels very busty. Like, it kind of feels like a lot of mages got the damage changed, like Gadget feels better, Bellica feels worse, but Gideon feels like it's just about the same or even better. And like, Gideon is just still ridiculous, just being able to play the side angles, just throw your long range abilities, do a lot of burst damage, and then when you see the good time to go in, you go in, push your ultimate, and kill the entire enemy team. So I think Gideon is the best mid laner he's had. It still is, but it's kind of annoying because Bellica got knocked down finally, August got knocked down finally, but it seems like Gideon is still kind of absurd, and I'm hoping that his damage is going to get a look at because there's no business having a Gideon that can do a lot of high burst damage, one of the best team fights, but also the hardest to lock down a kill in the early game. Like, that's just ridiculous in my opinion. Next up is going to be Greystone, and it's going to be a B picked, and he's definitely just not having a good time on this patch because with the introduction of Aurora, that's another hero that Greystone can't really play into really good because Aurora offers a lot of high sustained damage, and good luck trying to chase down Aurora with Greystone. It just seems like most matchups in off lane it's just not fair for Greystone. Greystone really just not doing enough damage, doesn't really have enough like sustain in lane. He's sure he still has ultimate, right? But like a lot of times it's really easy to play around that. So you can have a Roller Kwang, Crunch, just go on you, they do a lot of damage, use your ultimate, they back out, and then like now you're stuck with no ultimate for a while. And then when you have no ultimate, you don't get to play the game at all. So I feel like if anything, Greystone may be pivoted towards more jungle because I feel like most of his matchups in offlane is either neutral or even like bad for him, and so it's really hard to play Greystone in offlane, and like especially like his best build like Fire Blossom Basilisk doesn't feel nearly as good anymore, mostly because again Tank Arms got sort of semi-nerfed a little bit. Like I think Greystone's always been that kind of hero that's best play as him just going in, soaking up damage, doing a lot of damage. Also, he can do a lot of damage, but he can't really soak up damage nearly as good anymore, and in this kind of like meta, I think Greystone is just not doing as good anymore. But it's still a decent pick, like nothing more annoying Greystone diving back line, pressing ultimate, but it's definitely not nearly as effective anymore, I would say. Grux is gonna go to A pick, still like a dominant Rhino in the off lane. He does have a lot of good matchups. His builds got better, I would say, with the new Judgment, with Gaia Greaves. Bornsong Sky's build technically got buffed for offlaners, so in that combo goes pretty hard on him. If you guys have not seen my Grux video, like that build is actually absurd. Like Dawn Star, a support item actually going really good in Grux where you get more attack speed and you also like make them do less damage, say no more. So I think Grux it's like hero that it's easy to play around with because like you just use one ability, you get away with him, but it's hard to kind of like take him down because a lot of items really benefit him a whole lot. I think the 6th item makes him like an even bigger menace if he can brute force his way in team fights. Hauser is going to be the B pick. I think he's like a safe lane like Gideon, but I think his burst damage, kind of like the Bellica August, kind of got hit quite a bit, so it doesn't feel like he can 100 CU people nearly as easily, but it's still pretty annoying. Artillery Mage have very good self peel for himself, so you can't go one with him. But I think if you want to play Artillery Mage, I think Gadget is just the better pick than Howitzer at the moment. Kalari is going to be still like you better be a one-trick category. I think Kalari is still doing very good as assassin on this patch. Like you can run the same build talking about Fame Mal with like the Infernum, Malady, Penumbra, like that kind of stuff, and do really good. But I think she's still very skill intensive, especially in the jungle. So I think she's that hero that's always going to fluctuate in the tier list depending on the person using her. So it's really hard to nail down how strong she is. But I would say at least that she's still S to C. She can either go S tier easily if that's like a one-trick Kalari, or you can go like the C pick if that's just like a kind of very meh Kalari player. Chimera is going to be one of the best junglers on this patch. Like a lot of new items like Earthshaker benefits him a lot, and plus again this is like a short time to kill kind of meta. Chimera does really good in this kind of meta a whole lot. And it seems like a lot of junglers got kind of hit hard, especially like the tank junglers like Rampage, but Chimera is still thriving in the jungle. So I think he's really good. He's really good into Aurora too, which Aurora is like a very annoying hero to deal with, but like Chimera press E, he can totally negate Aurora's ultimate for free. So I think Chimera is not only like a very deadly hero on his own, he does really good to a lot of these like meta picks at the moment. Kira is gonna be like a B pick right here. Again, always despise Kira just because she always had bad wave clear, and the thing on this patch is that minion durability got buffed, so it makes it even harder for Kira to kind of wave clear. There are new irons you can go on her that makes her wave clear a bit easier, a bit more manageable, but I think I just don't like her personally, just because I just feel like it's really hard to farm well. It's really hard to like set the wave and rotate the team fights when you take it forever to hit the entire minion wave. She's definitely like really strong. Her single target damage is just really strong, but like all these other ADCs have no problem clearing waves. They just clear wave and go. But Q is like, okay, I need 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and I promise I will rotate. And I'm just like, I just hate an ADC that can't like rotate efficiently or farm efficiently if they have very bad wave clear like she does. And so you have to go for a build that helps with your wave clear, but then also hurts your single target damage, which I think is kind of like you're always losing something no matter how you're trying to play Kira, I feel like. Morgus is going to be a matchup dependent situation. I actually think Morgus is having like, she has very high sustained damage. It kind of feels like for mages especially, they're favoring a lot of like high sustained damage, and that means DOT mages are eating really good on this patch. But I feel like Morgan still suffers from that issue of like she's always gonna be a matchup situation because she's always get outranged by other mages. I do think she's easy to play into a lot of matchups. Like I think with August and Bellica being nerfed, not having that high burst damage anymore, I think Morgan can play into them easier, but still without a doubt it can be annoying to play into them because August QE, then Bellica knockup's done, and the fact that people can sit on you, gank you, camp you, and then you don't get to play the game. And I feel like Morgan still suffers from that, so I think she's still matchup situational, but if you get into a good lobby, good matchup, I think she's easily like up here. Like her damage is actually something you do not want to underestimate. I'm gonna Modok is definitely gonna go in the A pick. He's definitely like a very safe ADC. Having everything in his kit, he doesn't like do nearly as good in team fights because ultimate is just really good for finishing off people. Like Sparrow ultimate goes super hard. Jungle ultimate is really good for self heals. Modok snipe is just there for snowballing early game and trying to snipe people off and when they try to back away from a team fight. So I don't think he's an SU pick, but it's definitely hitting really hard as expected in this like ADC slash short time to kill meta. Miyu is going to be SSC pick. I actually think she's doing really good because again, enchanters are like doing much better with the new items like cough cough, Everbloom, cough cough, then mitigation, cough cough. So I think Miyu is doing much better, but I still think she's kind of like a you better be a one-trick hero because I see some really bad Miyu players not being able to like really fully utilize their kit in lane. A lot of Miyu players will just sit behind the ADC and just on the shield when you should really get aggressive with your Q and your all attack poke trades. And not only that, her ultimate is really skill intensive in terms of like knowing how to use it to split push very efficiently well, knowing when to use it, because trying to save someone that's going to die anyways is a completely waste of your ultimate, right? So I think she's a hero that kind of fluctuates quite a bit depending on how good that melee player is, but I think she's seriously really good. Definitely don't sleep on her. Next up is going to be FaZe, and she's definitely going to be B pick. I almost want to say she's A pick because it's sort of like a, you know what, I'm going to put an A. Like, I was putting on B because I was gonna be like FaZe is always like dependent on the ADCs doing good, right? But like ADCs are just so strong enough to the point in this meta that you can have a spell, like I said, that goes 1 to 5, but then build 3 items and kill your entire enemy team, right? And I feel like at FaZe, you can't go wrong with the FaZe. If anything, you want to hibernate with ADCs now more than ever. So I think when this is not like an ADC meta, I think she's like B pick, but since it's like ADC meta, like just Sparrow, Murder, Jungle, just kind of running the show, I think FaZe just a higher prior pick and being able to hibernate with them even more and just keep them safe. Like Sparrow and FaZe combined, it's just so hard to shut down. Like they could lose 2v5 if they play the cards right. Speaking of ADCs, I'm going to put Remnant in the C pick because I still think he's sort of like a matchup or situational kind of pick. Well, unlike Sparrow, where like even if she's behind, she kind of comes out strong once she gets 3 arms online, it feels like Remnant doesn't do that. I think that's good. And a big part of that reason is because Remnant has always been played more as like a specialty character. He's kind of like the character that play a lot more like an assassin, where you're trying to find that one squishy target to ult and just kill them and walk away. And he definitely does a lot of damage. I just don't think he's just as popular as these other ADCs because I think he just takes longer to scale compared to the other ADCs. It seems like the on-hit attack speed builds are kind of like the way to go on ADCs, and Revenant doesn't benefit at all from attack speed. He's very slow. He's very hard hitting once you get to mid to late game. But like I think he's a lot more snowball reliant. I think it's easier to kind of sit on a Revenant. Like it's easy to sit on the Sparrow, but the difference is she press ultimate, she kills you before you can kill her. Revenant is like you sit on him, you kill him before he gets to kill you. If you're like a bruiser like Chimera, it's the big difference I'm trying to point out right here. Victor, he's still like a very A pick. He's probably not going to be nearly as strong in the jungle and offlane because tanks kind of feel kind of meh, but he makes up for it for his like very good utility kits, just being able to hook people in, especially if ADCs are winning the show, which is one of the best answers to that. Like him hooking in like Sparrow or any ADC will help you just win team fights guarantee, and I think that alone makes him an A pick. I think he's like a skill intensive hero. I don't think he's like an S tier pick. I think tanks are kind of meh, so I think A pick is where he's at. Like if you land your hooks, he's very good. If you start to miss your hooks, it's kind of like but I think like he's still like a very good support, and he can definitely nothing can go wrong with him because he lands a one hook, you win the team fight guarantee. So it's gonna go to A pick. I think she's bumping up from B to A because again, short time to kill meta, on hit items, attack speed items like Keen's Bane actually works super well on Steroids, and she even got better in offlane too, to the point that she's now a recommended hero for offlane. So I think Steroid is just a lot more universal in the sense that she not only can do really good in the jungle, she can also do really good in the offlane, and once you get ahead, she's just really hard to shut down and kill. I think she has some bad matchups. You can definitely throw CC at her, dodge away. It's really hard to kind of, it can be like really easy to shut her down, but at the same time her damage is really absurd too if she can kind of wear on you for free like that. Shinbi is going to be matchup or situational. She kind of got semi-nerfed because the old life binder overgrowth interaction is no longer there anymore, so Shinbi players are going to be a little bit sad with that change. However, I think Shinbi still has some really good builds to run. Like you can still spam Q every 1 second, funny enough, if you build like ability haste on almost all your item slots. So definitely Shinbi got some like buffs to some areas. It's just like I think there's just other heroes to go that are better than what at the moment. I think there's better offlane heroes than her, and there's a better junglers than her. There's definitely better mid laners than her. I think she's just a hero that is more like a character you want to pick if you're trying to do a very specific purpose, or if you're a Shinbi enjoyer. And if you are a Shinbi enjoyer, you can definitely like see her rising up. But I think for the average show, I think Shinbi is just kind of a more matchup situation hero. Steel is going to finally get knocked down to A because I think he doesn't really belong in S2 anymore, because Steel used to be the strongest offlane for the longest time because most of the matchup is actually favoring him early on. But ever since they introduced Kwang, Kwang's really good into Steel, and Steel sort of like started to struggle a bit because Kwang's like a very popular offlaning hero that Steel does really bad into. And now we have Aurora that I think Aurora does even better into Steel than Kwang does, and Steel is just not having a great time. Having these magical boosters running around doing better tanking than he does. Like, Steel has still insane utility. Like, you definitely don't want to sleep on this utility by all means. Like, so he's actually going to be like a better support pick in the sense that, like, I think he's going to be slowly getting away from offlane and put more into the support role. Not that I don't think his offlane is bad, I just think there's a lot more competition in offlane, and these competitions have to be better than him in this 1v1 matchup. So I think it's the A pick. I don't think it's nearly as dominant as it used to be, but it's definitely nothing you can go wrong with him. Fairy is going to be a matchup of situational kind of hero. Again, if you have as long as Cleanse exists in the game, Fairy sometimes doesn't get to play the game at all because all of her power is behind her ultimate. It's actually kind of funny because Aurora, at least her paragon self, used to be everything on the ultimate, so if you just have ultimate, she doesn't get to play the game. But I feel like even without ultimate, Aurora is still a very strong team fighter, has a lot of high sustained damage, have a lot of good lockdown potential. So like Aurora gets to play the game really well even without ultimate, whereas Phase, like, if you don't have ultimate, it's really kind of hard to play some of those fights out. Like, you really have to get the really good ultimates out, and even if you get the really good ultimate out, they just cleanse it, and then you're just a sad fairy, right? So I think she's always going to be matchup situational because as long as the heroes with cleanses in the kit, there are items with cleanse. I think it's just really hard to like get consistent fairy ultimates when half the time they're going to get cleansed out, opened out, or whatever kind of counter to that. I'm going to put Twin Blast as an S2 pick ADC. Now this may be sort of more harder take from me because I think in terms of wall damage output, nothing comes close to Sparrow, not even close, right? But I think what sets Twin Blast apart from Sparrow is, again, like, Twin Blast has a very flexible, very safe kit. Like, this is the one ADC you can literally blind pick into any game and it does perfectly fine. Not only that, but his on-hit build is actually ridiculous. Like, the same on-hit build that's like super absurd on Sparrow is actually the same build you want on Twin Blast, and it's still very absurd at the same time on him. Like, sure, his Quench Blast, his Inferno build is not nearly as effective anymore, but his on-hit build that's always used to be good is now even better, and his best build to do on ADC. Like, you'll be surprised, like, you want Twin Blast with the on-hit build, the same one you do on Sparrow, and you'll be surprised how much damage this guy can really output, while also being very safe, being hard to lock down and kill. Like, I actually think that Twin Blast is still a very goated ADC. Like, you definitely train off the damage compared to Sparrow, but you have a lot more better survivability. And in this meta where ADC is just doing so much damage, if you have a lot of that damage and that survivability elusiveness that 3B offers, I think you have a very obnoxious, very hard to lock down and kill Twin Blast. I'll still pick Twin Blast any day of the week. Sparrow's just like, I'll play her because I know she's busted, but sometimes it can be not fun to play against like so many CC at the same time. Zeus is going to be another S2 pick hero. He's always been like hovering S or A, but he's definitely like S2 pick because, again, this is the meta that's about short time to kill, and Zeus has always been the hero that's always been best at killing people in this full combo, Coliseum, Q, B, all that good stuff. Not only that, again, Bruiser's got a lot of really good items like Gate Greaves. I know people like the one Shaco Zeus. I think that's sort of a semi-trap. You want to build items more like Penumbra, Pathwader still on him, and go for like this sort of hybrid assassin Bruiser build, which works really good. And it's actually ridiculous too because I played some games with him where as soon as I get 2 items, I literally just ult like a mage or ADC and I can full combo and kill them. Like Zeus used to take like 3 or 4 items to like sort of really do that super well, but he can do that with 2, which I think is actually ridiculous. It seems like Zeus should just get online much faster in the early game. Zeus is still very much a very safe laner, very lane dominated hero that can be blind pick and play into anyone. Like, I think he's just definitely an S2 pick because his just matchups are so good and his damage is just even more absurd in this meta. Especially, he's like a very good anti ADC kind of hero, and definitely he's gonna be like a really high prior pick if you want to shut down this annoying ADC meta. Predecessor SSC better be a one-trick hero. He definitely got hurt quite a bit because of the mind wasted changes, but I still think his damage is still really good, very busty if you build the right items. So I think he's definitely not like a C kind of pick like where Sedwalk is at the moment. I think he still has a lot of potential to be like an A pick easily, maybe S2 pick if you're just someone that doesn't miss his shots and build the right items on him. Iggy is going to be a mage, so I'm actually going to put in an A. This may be another kind of like harder pick, but like I feel like compared to these other mages like the Argus, the Bellica, not really being the 100 CO people a whole lot, like the kind of the way you want to play the game on mages after talking to a lot of different mages is like you want to play mages that have a lot of just poke or high sustained damage. So that's why Gadget's up here, because she does a lot of like high poke damage very consistently well, because you don't want to play into the burst kind of play style anymore. For mages, you want to play for the more spammy abilities and just letting your abilities just do all the work over the course of the fight. And Iggy just does that extremely well. Like his damage in terms of like killing bruisers or just anyone is just really high, right? So if you don't have this meta where mages can 100 CO people really well, unless you're like a Gideon for a reason, then the next best bet is going to be high sustained damage to really kill people reliably, because Bellica can walk up, try to full combo Iggy, doesn't kill him because of damage is not there anymore, but Iggy just throws down everything, and then like he will beat the Bellica, right? I think that's the main reason why I'm putting Iggy above these two, is because these two will try to full combo the Iggy, but they don't do that nearly as easy anymore. Whereas Iggy is like, if you can survive the burst damage and then let your abilities do your work, you can win the 1v1 easily, as what I'm trying to pull out right here. Not only that though, but all prime is squishier than before, so you can do early 20-minute primers very efficiently well, and Iggy is literally the best cheeser for like trying to like kill early objectives. So I think like in the right hands and the right team comps, like he's seriously someone that you do want to sleep on. I think he's just really strong in this kind of more sustained like poke artillery mage kind of meta. Last but not least, we're gonna talk about Grim. Grim is still gonna be I'm gonna put him in C. I think before I put him in B because he has so much utility and all that good stuff, but I'm actually gonna put him in C because he technically got buffed, because buff in the sense that his hitbox got decreased, so it's hard to land shots on him. There's new items like the nuclear rounds and plasma blade that works really good on him. So I'm like, I think he's doing better than before, but I'm not gonna be putting him in C because I think people are just bad with him still. Like I think he's kind of like the almost sort of like a semi-waste character where like it's sort of like you have to be someone that's very comfortable on Grim to make full use of him. But I don't think you need to be a one-trick to use him well. Like you just need to like get used to playing him, right? So I'm sort of like contradicting myself a little bit, but I just don't think he's an SSC character. I don't think he's supposed to be that hard of a character to play, but people still struggle with him. So I'm gonna put him to C for now, because I think other ADCs are just a lot more straightforward, easy to play. Like especially Sparrow, just literally just hold down left click. It's all you need to really do. Grim is like, okay, you have to hold down left click, you have to use your shield, you have to use your E, you have to use your Q, you have to use all this stuff, right? So I think he's just not as straightforward to play, and that's still a turn off for some people, right? So I think I'm gonna put him C. I think his damage is really good, but I think he's just sort of like, his utility is just hard to fully utilize most of the time compared to his other ADCs. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me. This is gonna be the full tier list for version 0.18 right here, ladies and gents. Definitely this, if you compare this tier list to my last one, you can see that the tier list, there's a lot of things that make the tier list look similar, but also a lot of things that make it look much different. And so this is just my opinion. Of course, at the end of the day, there could be some stuff I'm wrong or missed the mark on, but at the same time, this is like a completely new meta, completely new Predecessor 2.0 item and hero system. So it's gonna be really hard to nail down the perfect tier list, especially since they did an MMR reset on us. So there's gonna be a lot more chaotic games too. So it's probably gonna be a solid month until we get like a really solid, like, okay, this is definitely the meta kind of thing. And I don't want to wait a month to get the tier list out to you guys. But at the same time, I still want to do a good job of it, which I think that's a good, decent tier list for you guys to take notes from and kind of hear my reasoning on why some heroes are really strong and why some heroes are pretty meh. And again, I kind of talked to other people too, and I got a lot of feedback on my iterations, and I come across this one last iteration that I think is the best one. So if you want to kind of argue with my tier list, then you're also going to be arguing with other people I've been talking to that have been playing this game a whole lot. So not to say like this is like the best tier list, but I think this is a good start to giving you guys a good idea on where things are at. But that's it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If not already, subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a single beat by yours truly. But I hope you guys enjoy this, and I'll see you guys in the next video here. Peace.